Hello guys, gals, non-binary pals, and waterfowls, it's me, Big Mike, and welcome to another episode of Big Mike's Big Universe, the series where we look at and discuss the latest happenings in the world of UFOs, UAPs, and astronomy in general. I bet you didn't expect to see another episode so soon. Well, that makes two of us, fam. As soon as I finished recording last week's episode, I saw that this story had dropped, and I knew I had to cover this. So in this week's episode, we're going to be going over this article. Drone swarms targeting U.S. military bases are operated by Mothership UFO, claims top Pentagon official. And then I'll give my thoughts on it. And before we jump into the video, I just want to remind you lovely guys, gals, non-binary pals, and waterfowls that I do have a Ko-fi account, and anything I receive for the time being will go towards helping me to either build or buy a better computer. And having a better computer will allow me to do different kinds of videos, do stuff with my friends, and more, so anything you can give will greatly help out my channel. And with that, let's jump into the video, fam. A retired senior ex-Pentagon official, Chris Mellon, who served as Deputy Assistant Secretary of Defense for Intelligence under both Presidents Clinton and George W. Bush, has confirmed that unidentified flying objects were seen releasing swarms of smaller craft, expanding further the picture we have of the unexplained activities that have breached security over numerous military bases in the United States. Mellon's words come on the heels of the release of about 50 pages worth of Air Force records related to these provoking drone breaches. One general even went as far as to call them close encounters at Langley. For those unfamiliar with what he's referring to, back in December of 2023, for a bare minimum of 17 nights, clusters of miniature noisy UFOs were spotted at sunset, moving at rapid speeds and displaying flashing red, green, and white lights, penetrating the highly restricted airspace above Langley Air Force Base in Virginia. Mellon described this occurrence as part of a much larger pattern affecting numerous national security installations. Two of the notable aspects, he said, are the fact our drone signal jamming devices have proven ineffective, and these craft are making no effort to remain concealed. In fact, in some instances, as Mellon took pains to emphasize, it's clear they want to be seen as though taunting us. Mellon further elaborated that since last year's breaches at Langley, a similar series of intrusions has also occurred over Palmdale, California. What is interesting here is that Palmdale, which is about an hour north of Los Angeles, is the location of Skunk Works, a classified developmental program ran by defense contractor Lockheed Martin. A spokesperson for Edwards Air Force Base near Palmdale told the War Zone this August that investigators were monitoring that situation to determine if there is any ill intent, and, even if not, we are trying to find out why or who is doing it. Not to take things sitting down, Langley has similar initiatives underway. However, the situation is, according to the commander of its Air Combat Command, General Mark Kelly, a head-scratcher for the government. The bizarre craft above Langley, home to at least half the Air Force's fleet of F-22 Raptor stealth fighters, led to 2 weeks of emergency White House meetings. And over the past 10 months, Air Force investigators, local police, and even NASA analysis operating the space agency's high-tech WB-57F research plane have all taken a crack at trying to identify the mysterious craft with no answers in sight. What would the U.S. do, as General Kelly put it to the Wall Street Journal, if this happens over the National Mall? General Kelly said the unidentified craft appeared to be 20 feet long and were capable of flying over 100 miles per hour at an altitude between 3,000 and 4,000 feet. The journal noted an overlapping incident in which a University of Minnesota student and Chinese national Feng Shi was caught photographing U.S. Navy vessels under construction in nearby Norfolk, Virginia via commercial drone. But the amateurish incident, for which Shi was sentenced to 6 months in federal prison, appears to be unrelated to the sophisticated squadrons of mystery craft. I make no claims regarding their origin. Perhaps many are Chinese drones, Mellon told DailyMail.com. But their brazenness, range, flight, duration, reliability, resistance to countermeasures, and indifference to detection are confounding. In some cases, motherships have been reported, according to Mellon, who also managed security and information operations for part of his time at the Pentagon. These motherships, Mellon clarified, were extremely fast larger vehicles that had been observed collecting or releasing swarms of smaller craft. Local sheriffs reported seeing 30 to 50 unusual craft flying independently of one another, with a larger mothership hovering nearby for hours. At Langley last December, Air Force personnel equipped with drone busters, signal jamming weaponry designed to counter remotely piloted enemy drones, reported that these mysterious craft failed to register on their anti-drone devices. One witness reported being unable to use their drone buster due to not having a visual. Their testimony was released via the Freedom of Information Act, first published by the Liberation Times on Monday. In one December 6, 2023 encounter detailed in the Freedom of Information Act documents, a Langley witness described serious aerial penetrations above a parking and servicing area for based aircraft, known as the flight line. I spotted 9 drones in diamond formation flying over Redacted, heading towards the flight line, the witness stated. Redacted and I followed the swarm into the flight line, where we lost visual of the swarm over the bay. Amid this frenzy of activity, NASA's Langley Research Center was also conscripted to aid in the effort to hunt down and identify these mystery drones. NASA's WB-57F, according to a research center spokesperson, provided additional imaging support as it circled the base on December 18th and 19th, 2023. The activation of a specialized NASA aircraft equipped with what may be the most sophisticated airborne camera system in the world suggests that the United States government was truly baffled by these incidents, said former Obama-era Pentagon appointee and frequent columnist at The Hill, Marieke van Rennenkamp. Typically, there are 4 cameras total on the nose of NASA's WB-57F jets, each tailored to pick up specific colors or wavelengths of the electromagnetic spectrum. Some of those wavelengths, like mid-wave infrared, cannot be measured from the ground because much of it is absorbed by gases and particles in the atmosphere. Von Rennenkamp expressed skepticism that the objects will prove to be foreign espionage platforms given the ostentatious, showy nature of their flights. The multiple consistent reports of bright, flashing lights and formation flying suggest that some actor, be it a drone operator or otherwise, were putting on a show of impunity at considerable risk over a key military facility, he noted. If this was a foreign intelligence gathering operation, he continued, the brazen nature of the incursions makes it some of the worst collection tradecraft imaginable. While still remaining agnostic about the solution to these alarming national security mysteries, some of America's most scientifically minded UFO investigators told DailyMail.com that they suspect culprits closer to home. Some obvious telling signs, such as engine noise, generated altitude, and travel velocity, make me believe this is some locally staged activity, Tedesco advised. Richard Hoffman, an information technology specialist at the Army's Redstone Arsenal, who has worked on projects to counter drone incursions at the United States military bases, noted that solving the mystery poses major technical and bureaucratic hurdles. We're in the process of fielding countermeasures at sensitive DoD locations, but it requires coordination with the FCC, FAA, and others to deploy them, Hoffman told DailyMail.com. Concerns about the frequencies that could interfere with public and commercial uses has been an issue, he noted. There are documented cases where GPS on commercial aircraft has been affected near military bases. Outside of his official duties, Hoffman is also a co-founder of the nonprofit Scientific Coalition for UAP Studies, devoted to studying unidentified aerial phenomena, once called UFOs. It's also a concern that these drones were using frequencies not used by traditional drones, he said. It rules out commercial drones from within the United States, which are regulated. Officials at Langley would appear to agree, admitting that the December 2023 drone swarms proved to be impossible to pin down. The rogue fleets of small aircraft would disappear into thin air each night despite being hunted by the best hardware the Air Force and NASA had on hand. The episodes were so sustained and disruptive that an entire fighter wing had to be relocated to another base, according to Mellon, who wrote about the case in May. General Glenn Van Herk, the commander with North America Aerospace Defense, NORAD command, who led missions to take down the infamous Chinese spy balloon back in February of 2023, described these Langley cases as unlike any other. General Van Herk said he had personally ordered jet fighters and other aircraft to fly close enough to these drones to pick up some visual clues. Ultimately, the general advised Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin to authorize a full battery of electronic eavesdropping equipment to get to the bottom of this case, but he acknowledged that strict rules govern the use of this tech over U.S. soil. Nevertheless, Van Herk said, if there are unknown objects within North America, go out and identify them. Here are my thoughts on this. To be honest, there are three possibilities that I can think of, and all of them are quite alarming. Either A, it's a foreign adversary, B, it's a deep state or defense contractor, or C, it's non-human intelligence. Aliens, interdimensional beings, what have you. And I'll discuss each of these possibilities now. The first possibility is that this technology is from a foreign adversary. And this is the one I find to be the least likely. Because of their actions and the fact that they want to be seen, I have to agree with von Rennenkampf's assessment. If these were meant to be used by foreign actors for collecting information, then these are very poor tools for that job, as usually such actions are much more subtle. Though I do suppose it could be used by an adversary that wanted to taunt the United States government. But if that's the case, then why has no adversary taken responsibility for it? If taunting by a rival nation was the name of the game, wouldn't said nation want you to know it was them? The second possibility is that these are from the deep state or defense contractor. I consider this possibility to be very likely. On the one hand, one of the sightings happened near Lockheed Martin's classified skunk works, and on the other, it would explain why the military would not be aware of it. Also, by making intrusions into the airspace above United States military bases, they could test out the tech against the most advanced military in the world and also not have to worry about triggering an international conflict. Also, witnesses have described this tech as being noisy, which some has claimed points to it being human tech. I personally am not convinced by that argument, but I'll discuss it a bit more when I discuss reason 3. One final thing to consider here is that given that the Langley incident caused 2 weeks of White House security meetings, it would seem that if this is the doings of a defense contractor, then even the executive branch of the United States would be unaware of their actions, which accords well with what many believe about the deep state, or these defense contractors. The third and final possibility is one I consider to be of equal likelihood with the second one, and that's this is from a non-human intelligence. All of this is in line with what Michael Schellenberger's whistleblower told him. They haven't done anything malevolent per se, but all of their acts are acts that show off their dominance, such as when he related the story of how the UAP escorted the fighter jet out of its patrol area. We see a similar thing here. These intrusions aren't doing anything malevolent per se, but they are showing off their dominance. Throughout their interactions with the military, this seems to have been their MO. For example, the Malmstrom Air Force Base incident. Long story short, after UAP sightings at the base, the missiles with nuclear warheads all went offline and were unlaunchable. While no lasting harm was done, this possibly was a power play to show, look how effortlessly we can take out your most powerful weapon. One final thing to consider here is the noisy argument. Some have mentioned because of the noise they could not be of non-human intelligence origin. I find that to not be a very convincing argument. Some people who have had encounters have described the craft as being noisy, such as the Lonnie Zamora incident. In that incident, Lonnie Zamora described the craft as having a loud roar, and the Lonnie Zamora incident is one of the best documented cases of a UAP. Now, it would have been helpful if they would describe what kind of noise the UAP above the military bases made, but unfortunately they did not. Now, one thing that might be interesting to take into consideration here is that maybe expecting a UAP to be quiet may be a bit of projecting of human standards on something that's not human. And those are my thoughts on this story. What do you think about it? What do you think is the origin of these UAPs? Please let me know in the comments. And because this has already been a rather long video, I won't be doing an insulate this week, but rather will be going with my original closing stick. for this video. So special thanks to Fran, who does a wonderful job of doing my art. A special thanks to all of my friends on Twitter. I wouldn't be here without you all. And a special thanks to all of you for watching this video. Please like this video if you like it, dislike it if you dislike it. And if you like my videos, be sure to subscribe and turn your notifications on. Until next time, fam, remember, just be yourself and you'll be awesome. Peace out!